Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for February 2nd, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Happy Groundhog's Day, a Groundhog Day edition, a Monday edition, all that other good stuff. And in honor of Groundhog Day, I'm going to throw out a question, just like the movie. Which event in Philly sports history would you love to live over and over and over again? For me, one of the Super Bowls. I'd have to say either 52 or 59, and throw in the middle of that the 2008 Phillies World Series, that second part of Game 5. Just play all three of them on a loop, and I am good to go. But let me know what your thoughts are. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. What Philly sports moments would you like to relive over and over and over again? Like I said, I just want a loop of the last, basically the whole game 52, whole game 59, and sandwich part 2 of game 5 of the 2008 World Series in between there. All right, it is Monday, so let's rewind the weekend like we always do. Brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com for all of your Philly sports apparel needs. They got the best shirts in the area. Go check them out and then use the promo code Jim Montgomery, all one word, at checkout to take 10% off of your order. All right, let's start with the Sixers. And obviously the big news was Paul George's 25-game suspension for taking something that was on the banned drug list. Now, going to preface a lot of it. Well, you know what? I'm just going to say, because if you can't understand what I'm saying, then you're the issue, not me. But I think I got to call BS on this, and it's a shame because I feel we saw it with Ben Simmons, and I'm not saying Paul George doesn't need to get his mental health right. It's not what I'm saying at all. And if you're a regular listener, I talk about getting your mental health right all the time on Tuesdays on this podcast. However, and I said this with Jose Alvarado with the weight loss stuff, you are a professional athlete. All of the major sports have hotlines, different things set up to call, to check. Have your agents call the team doctor, something if you're going to take a medication where you're not sure. It's not that hard. It's like, I don't understand it. And again, kudos to him if he does need to get his mental health right. Good. Like, I'm all for that. And if this truly is a situation where it is a mental health thing and something in it is on the NBA's ban list, shame on the NBA then. That's why I was like, let me just say it and then we'll sort through it later. Because, one, Paul George needs to know better to at least check on this and see where it is. But if this is truly 100% a drug that is for your mental health and it's on the NBA's ban list, shame on them for doing that. It's ridiculous. And to me, just like the Jose Alvarado thing, it just doesn't, something's missing there. Like, I don't understand on Paul George's end why you would not at least check on this. And okay. But on the NBA side, if this is on your ban list and it's for mental health, be better. Either way, the Sixers get screwed. We get screwed more importantly than anything, especially because they were just starting to play right. or play better and really get into a groove. But I'm not, especially at this time, and I don't know whether it's because he had 9 threes in a game. The NBA is like, we need to randomly test you, which all the sports say it's random, but it's odd sometimes. But just not good for the Sixers team, and not good for Sixers fans. And again, I don't want to pile on a guy who is going through mental health things, but you gotta know to call that number. It's just an unfortunate thing. And if it was maybe somebody like a Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, or hell, even Joe to a certain extent, I think a lot of people would feel different, because everybody I've heard was ripping Paul George, and I think he brought a lot of this on himself for just basically giving up on last year. And this has not been a good signing for the Sixers at all. But he was playing well. I thought he was. I mean, maybe there's a reason why he was playing well. I don't know. It's just not for a team that's battling to stay out of that play-in and get one of the actual playoff spots. Just not good for the next 25 games. Paul George is out. And again, I want to make it perfectly clear, not knocking him for taking care of his mental health, because big proponent of that. You need to be better. And like, they have these things. Like, come on. Like, use the number. Have your agent call Daryl Morey up. I don't know. This is just unfortunate. On the court, good win for them, 124-114 over the Pelicans. On the night, they had the 2001 Eastern Conference Championship reunion. It was pretty, like, we were out, so I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but I watched the replays of it, and man, just brought me back. That was a fun team, especially, I mean, they didn't win it, but captivated the whole area. And to hear Matt Cord do his Allen Iverson, a guard, it just was awesome. And I completely screwed that up, but you get what I'm saying. Joe had 40, Maxey had 18, VJ added 15. They're traveling out west. Good old West Coast trips, which I despise. But mixed bag weekend for the Sixers. They lose Paul George for 25 games, but do get the win. And now they hit the road to go out west. They take on the Clippers tonight. And I do want to give a shout out to the unrivaled 3-on-3 tournament that was at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, or league, whatever. I don't know if it's like a league or a tournament. Either way, kudos to Philly fans for filling that building up with 21,000 plus. Bodes well for once the WNBA does come here in a few years. But looking forward to that. But I had to shout that out because that is a pretty cool moment, not only for the basketball in this city, but just for the future of the WNBA that is coming here. So kudos to everybody who went out there, and kudos to the women who participated in that. To the ice we go, and the Olympic break is coming soon. Flyers lose their 4th straight to the Kings, 3-2 in overtime. Travis Konechny with a goal and assist. Trevor Zegras with a goal. They're at home on Tuesday against the Senators. Man, just they need this Olympic break more than anything. And then we do have some Eagles news. First, they did hire Josh Grizzard, who was one of the guys they brought in for a second interview as their passing game coordinator. And to me, we talked all through January about turning the page. I think this is a turning the page moment for the Eagles, where they see what the future of the league is, and these guys are supposed to be the next up-and-coming bright young minds in the sport. Why not bring them both in and have them collaborate together? Like I said, it's a change from the way they do things, and I like it. I absolutely like it because you're covering yourself with an extra brilliant mind in the building, but you're also covering yourself if this does work out and Mannion gets a head coaching opportunity next year, you have your guy ready to slide right into place to kind of keep that continuity. So I do like it. And then on the other side of the ball, is he retiring? Is he not? The whole Vic Fangio, the rumors. And I do think the Eagles know what's going on. I think Vic Fangio has already told them one way or the other. And I think they're probably trying to keep him one more year, which would be great. But I do think you need to have a succession plan in place for after this year. But nothing official yet. But that's what the rumors are going back and forth. Will he or won't he? Hopefully we get some clarity on that this week. And then that and all things Eagles, Kyle and I will talk about on Wednesday, the new episode, Super Bowl edition of the Brotherly Birds Breakdown. We'll record on Wednesday. It'll be out later on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. Available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then what happened this weekend in Philly sports history? Go to January 31st. And in 1992, the Sixers beat the Magic 112-88. Manute Bol had 7 blocks in 16 minutes in this game, including 4 in a 6-second span. So Manute Bol couldn't do anything. You cannot score against Manute Bol, but 7 blocks in 16 minutes of game time. And then in 2002, Harry Kalas was honored with the Ford C. Frick Award going into the announcers area in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And then February 1st, one of the most intriguing, bizarre stories in Philly sports history. 1974, Barry Ashby was suspended 8 games and fined $150 stemming from a January 27th game against the Penguins out in Pittsburgh, where he punched the referee in the face. Could you imagine 8 games, $150 fine today? That's just absolutely insane. But that's Rewind the Weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com, check out their t-shirts, use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. Let's get into some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott, and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. And then Friday's trivia question. In honor of Jeremy Roenick scoring his 1,000th career point, becoming the 4th American-born player, I ask you, who are the other players to score 1,000 points that were born in America in NHL history? That would be Mike Modano, Patrick Kane, Phil Housley, of course, Jeremy Roenick, Joe Pavelski, Keith Tkachuk, Joe Mullen, Doug Waite, Brian Leach, and Pat LaFontaine. Lots of people saying Brett Hall. Brett Hall technically was Canadian. He had dual citizenship, and he played his international play for America, but he was a Canadian-born player. So thank you to everybody who attempted to answer the trivia question.
Hey guys, guess what time it is? It's cookie season. I'm Ella here, your favorite Girl Scout, and we have your oldies but goodies. Lemonades, dinners, peanut butter sandwiches, and more. This year we have a new cookie flavor called the Explore Mug. My goal is 200 boxes, so please make that happen. You're going to buy cookies anyway, so why not buy them from me?
All right, February 2nd. First, we're going to go back to 1968, and I say it all the time, but we could do it this day in Wilt Chamberlain history. But on this day in 1968, Wilt was doing Wilt things. Sixers beat the Pistons 131-121 at the Spectrum. Wilt only had 22 points, 21 assists, and 25 rebounds. Yes, Wilt messed around and had a triple-double. In the process, he set the Sixers' single-game record for assists in a game. He was the first player to ever have a triple-double in NBA history. Hal Greer led the Sixers with 23 that night. Billy Cunningham added 20 as the Sixers improved to 39-15, looking to defend their championship. But Wilt messed around, had a triple-double. And that leads us into today's trivia question. Only two players in NBA history have had a 20 game or a double triple double. Wilt Chamberlain, and who else? Who is the only other player to have 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists in an NBA game? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Discord channel, which is in the description. And by the way, the link for Ella's Girl Scouts is also there too. So buy the cookies. They were out this weekend in the cold, out in front of Max Beverage. They were out in front of the liquor store in Drescher in the cold selling cookies. So help her out and hit the link and buy some cookies. All right, then fast forward to 1974. Flyers with an offensive explosion at the Spectrum versus the Red Wings. Bobby Clark with his second career hat trick also added 3 assists for 6 points in the game for Bobby. Ross Lonsberry also had a hat trick, marking the first time in Flyers team history where 2 players had a hat trick in the same game. Simone Nollet also added 4 assists as the Flyers beat the Red Wings 12-2. Bobby Clark, Ross Lonsberry, both with hat tricks. Bobby Clark added 3 assists, and Simone Nollet also added 4 assists as well, as the Flyers put up a 12 spot against the Red Wings at the Spectrum. And then fast forward to 1989. Flyers lose to the Penguins 5-3 at the Spectrum. Mike Bullard, Pelle Eklund, and Ron Sutter all had goals for the Flyers. Why are we talking about this? Well, it was the first time the Flyers had won in Philadelphia since January 20th, 1974. What was that, 15 years it took them to win a game? 42 games, they went 0-39-3 before finally winning in Philly on this day in 1989. Talk about domination. And then, of course, the Penguins have passed the Flyers since then, but there for a while, Flyers dominated the Penguins. And then in 2002, Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins participated in a co-main event in different cities. Roy Jones beat Glenn Kelly by knockout in Miami, retained both of his titles, and then Bernard Hopkins retained his titles, beating Carl Daniels in the 10th round by knockout up at the Sovereign Center in Reading. I was in attendance for that game. It was pretty cool. We were able to get back to my brother's apartment in time to see that, because at the time everybody wanted to see Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins, I'm definitely biased on this, but Roy Jones ducked him until later in his career, and unfortunately, by the time they did fight again, it was too late. Roy Jones was kind of washed up. Bernard Hopkins fought well into his 40s and was pretty dominant throughout it, but Roy Jones, in my opinion, was ducking Bernard Hopkins, kept saying, oh, well, I need to have more money. I already beat you once, which Roy Jones did beat Bernard Hopkins, but it was earlier in Bernard's career, and just ducked him until later in his career. But co-main event on this day, Roy Jones, Bernard Hopkins, but it was Hopkins beating Carl Daniels up in Reading at the Sovereign Center. One of the best, boxing to me is one of the best sports to watch live. It's just a completely different animal. I've done it a few times, but to see a championship fight was pretty cool. The pageantry, I guess you could call it. Of course, Bernard Hopkins, his entrance was second to none. But that all happened on this day in 2002. And then finally today, it is February. Time for our annual Black History Spotlight. And for this Black History Month, greatness is forged, not giving. And in this city, it is forged by Philly. So we're taking a look at some of the stars who got their start and everything they've gone through and everything they were able to accomplish started here in Philly. And in honor of the double, triple, double, we're going to start with Wilt Chamberlain, Overbrook High, Philly native. He was a phenom at a time when everybody talked about Wilt and there was no social media. That's how good he was, that everybody knew about him. Media would pack those gyms. Wilt, though, did face scrutiny for his style of play because he was so much bigger. They changed rules for Wilt. But playing in Philly taught him how to withstand the attention and the criticism of being a phenom. He was drafted by the Philadelphia Warriors. Unfortunately, due to the timing of everything, did face a lot of racism, faced dirty plays, faced racial slurs. He was spit on, all kinds of things during that rookie season. But instead of speaking out and attacking people, he just let his play do the talking. He did, however, retire briefly after his rookie season, would come back. But he was also often criticized at a time when a lot of black athletes were speaking out for the civil rights movement based on his stature and just what he meant to the game. He was criticized for not being outspoken the way guys like Muhammad Ali were, the way guys like Bill Russell were. But Wilt said, I'm going to let my play break down these barriers and show that the black athlete can indeed be successful. He challenged those stereotypes with his play, not as outspoken as many would have liked him to be, but Wilt Chamberlain got his start, and he was forged here in Philly as Wilt Chamberlain, Overbrook High's own, is today's Black History Month spotlight. Pretty damn good player, too. On this day in 2002, Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins, co-main event. Hopkins beat Glenn Kelly by knockout down in Miami. Bernard Hopkins knocked out Carl Daniels up at the Sovereign Center in Reading. Everybody was clamoring to see them fight. Unfortunately, it would happen far too late for many people's likings. 1989, Penguins beat the Flyers at the Spectrum 5-3. First win in Philly since 1974, snapping a 42-game unbeaten, or what would it be? Not unbeaten. 42-game winless streak, I guess, beaten streak, whatever you want to call it. And then 1974, sticking with the Flyers, 12-2 win over the Red Wings. Ross Lonsberry and Bobby Clark both with hat tricks in this game. And then, of course, Wilt, being Wilt, double, triple-double, 22 points, 21 assists, 25 rebounds, setting the Sixers record for assists in a game. And, of course, the trivia, who's the only other player in NBA history to do that? Let me know. I will have more for you tomorrow on any possible Vic Fangio news, as well as getting you ready and recap that Sixers game. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to know your thoughts as well on the Paul George situation. Are the Sixers just a snake-bitten organization? Are they still reaping what they sowed with the process? Is it bad luck? What is it? It's just every time, we can't have nice things. Every time things start going well, the other shoe always drops, it seems, with this team. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for February 2nd, 2026. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday. Hey, Phil, do the right thing in a little bit when you see come out of that little burrow that you're in up there in Punxsutawney. Do the right thing. Tired of the cold. Predict an early spring. I don't have a good feeling about it. I feel like we're going to be in the deep freeze for a while. But Phil, if you're out there listening, which I know you're probably listening to me, do the right thing. Do the right thing. All right, this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for February 2nd, 2026. My name's Jim Montgomery. Do the right thing, Phil. Don't drive angry. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.